Welcome back. It's your favorite bald gamer, Nekrage, or Greg, whatever you want to call me, on the Oathbound Gaming channel. But I have a ton of other channels. Check the description. Catch me on live stream. Always some fun stuff there. So today we're going to be going over the Druid. We're going to go over every single ability the Druid has. We're talking about the abilities a little bit, go over the modifiers, all that good stuff. We're going to start off with Earth Spike. Earth Spike does 16% damage. It's under the earth, impaling the first enemy hit with 16% damage. Earth Spike has a 10% chance to stun for 2.6 seconds. Fortify for 2% of your base life whenever Earth Spike damages enemies who are stunned, immobilized, or knocked back. Or summon a second Earth Spike when hitting an immobilized or stunned enemy. We're going to go with that one. That one's pretty cool. So we only have a 10% chance to stun. Hopefully we can proc a stun pretty early on and we can show off that second Earth Spike. As you see, it does additional damage. Let's see. There we go. We got a stun right there. You're seeing two sources of damage numbers there. Whenever he's stunned, we got two stuns right off the bat. So that's exactly how it works. This is what it looks like. And you can see, yeah, it definitely has quite a range. You're using it at pretty far range. As long as you can see the enemy, you can pretty much click on them. So that means ultra-wide monitors have a massive advantage. Hopefully something about that is addressed. So we're going to go ahead and remove Earth Spike. We're going to move over to Wind Shear. Conjure a piercing blade of wind, dealing 17% damage. Wind Shear has a 20% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds. Each enemy hit by Wind Shear increases your movement speed by 5% for 5 seconds up to 20%. And your Wind Shear grants 3 additional Spirit for each enemy hit beyond the first. Let's go with the movement speed. The Spirit is a resource. We're going to get to that. But we're going to go ahead and use Wind Shear and see how it pierces through enemies. Gives us a little bit of movement speed increase. And you can tell that that is actually procced by the animation on you there. A little gust of wind kind of flowing around the Druid. And we also have this little number 4 down there at the bottom, showing that we have 4 stacks of that movement speed increase. Alright, moving on over to Storm Strike. Electricity gathers around your weapon, dealing 20% damage to your target and chaining up to 3 surrounding enemies, dealing 20% less damage each time it chains. You gain 25% damage reduction for 3 seconds after dealing damage with Storm Strike. Pretty good. Storm Strike has a 50% chance to immobilize all enemies hit for 2.6 seconds. Storm Strike chains to 2 additional targets, or Storm Strike has a 50% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. Let's do 2 additional targets. Maybe we can find ourselves a nice pack of enemies and really chain that thing. Alright, not too bad. We got 4 of them. So as you see, it's... Oh, there's some more. We're definitely chaining into a decent amount of AoE damage. That's not bad at all. There's the immobilization proc. It's a pretty good ability. And then, of course, you get that damage reduction. That 25% damage reduction. Definitely one of the better abilities for the Druid to start off with. I really do like that. Claw. Shapeshift into a werewolf. Our first shapeshift. And claw an enemy for 20% damage. Claw's attack speed is increased by 10%. Claw has a 10% chance to attack twice, or Claw applies poison damage. Let's go with the poison damage so we can see that right off the bat. It's pretty little poison damage, but it's something. It is something, and there are modifiers like when an enemy's poisoned, this happens. So you know you could use that as your way to constantly keep enemies poisoned. As you see, I definitely am in werewolf form. I'm hitting different enemies so I can show the poison effect on. And of course, it has that other one that has a 10% chance to get 2 swipes, which is not bad either. Alright, Warg's down. Obviously, you don't want to spam a single target attack during a big pack. You'd want to build up your Spirit and then use another skill to do AoE damage. But we're going to go with Maul now, because I'll show you that kind of can fix that on its own. Shapeshift into a werebear and maul enemies in front of you, dealing 20% damage. If an enemy is hit by Maul, then Fortify for 2% of your base life. Which, Fortify, if you don't know what it does, Fortify takes 10% reduced damage. You take 10% reduced damage once an enemy is Fortified, but you have to have Fortify equal to your current life or greater. So it's not easy to get right now, but you know, longer fights you can get it. Increase the range and radius of Maul by 30%, or Maul has a 10% chance to knock down enemies. We're going to go with the radius because it's an AoE. Alright, enemy's good. You see big werebear, you see I'm hitting multiple targets. I got knocked down. That's not good. I am playing in hardcore. I don't know if I mentioned that. I definitely got to be careful, make sure I don't lose my character here while doing this video. The Maul, as you can see, it definitely hits multiple targets. You got to watch out for those big attacks from the Firebrand. That's the thing that knocked me down earlier. Not bad though. Keeps you in werebear form, and again, there are just like there are things to keep enemies poisoned. You know, there's things that like, hey, while you're in werebear form, this happens. So there's reasons to stay in that form. So this might be one of your choices to use Maul at the beginning. I know it seems really weak, but there are obviously other abilities that we can use to follow up when you have enough spirit to do so. So we're gonna just get these enemies off me so we can go to our next ability here. Alright, the last slinger. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to grab Lightning Storm as our first one. Conjure a growing lightning storm that deals 25% damage per strike and increases the number of strikes the longer it is channeled up to a maximum of 5. The size of your lightning storm is preserved for 4 seconds after channeling. Lightning Storm has an 8% chance to immobilize enemies hit for 3.18 seconds, or Lightning Storm gains 1 additional strike. We're going to go with that one. Let's go summon a storm, shall we? There we go. As I'm summoning it, you see it grow in size, and it does a fair amount of damage. It's definitely a pretty good way to dump your spirit to get as much damage as possible done. And it goes fast, as you can see. One more time, if you guys are looking down at the bottom right at my spirit there, 108, it's definitely maxed. Watch how fast it actually depletes this bar. So we're gonna pull in a fair amount of enemies here. Let's do this. Spirit definitely depletes very, very quickly. So that's something you obviously need to generate back with your basic attack skills, the things we went over in the beginning, and then you can go ahead and use those again. Use your spirit utilizing abilities to do as much damage as possible. Druid's definitely a little bit weaker than some of the other classes right now. Hopefully Blizzard does something to address that, but this is early on in the game, obviously, so hopefully we'll see some adjustments there. Moving on, we got Tornado. Tornado, I already have one in there from one of my pieces of equipment, so we're going to put a second one in there, but keep in mind it is 35% damage at the beginning, but we're going to bring it up to 39%. Each time you cast a Tornado, you have a 20% chance to spawn an additional Tornado. Enemies damaged by Tornado are slowed by 8% for 3.18 seconds, stacking up to 40%. Enemies hit by Tornado have a 10% chance of becoming vulnerable for 3 seconds. I'll go with the slow. Let's go with the slow for now. Vulnerable, if you don't know what that means enemies just take additional damage. While vulnerable, 20% additional damage. So it is very good. It is good to have, especially if you're playing in a group setting. It's good to have someone applying vulnerable to enemies. All right, so tornadoes, pretty cool. Tornado. So we're meleeing here to gain our spirit, so we have enough spirit to use tornado. 20% chance to spawn an additional tornado. We did see that proc already. So let's try again. There's one. Still one. Still one. It's only a 20% chance, but as you're using the ability, you'll definitely see procs. Me not dying, I'll use a potion there. Alright, moving on to the next ability, which is one of my favorite. Pulverize. Shapeshift into a werebear and slam to the ground, dealing 50% damage to surrounding enemies. Your next Pulverize will overpower every 10 seconds while you remain healthy. Healthy is if you have above 80% health, and Overpower deals bonus damage based on the sum of your current life and fortified life. So if you build as a super tanky boy, this can help you do a lot of damage. And you see it's every 10 seconds. And if you look down over here, you're seeing this stacking up to 10. When that's at 10, the next time I use Pulverize, it's going to do a massive amount of additional damage. And this modifier is, it adds a 2-second stun when you overpower with Pulverize. Enemies hit with Pulverize deal 20% reduced damage for 4 seconds. That could definitely help you in protect teammates, you know, help them. You're reducing the damage that enemies do by 20%, so if you do that to an enemy and an enemy hits a friend, they're still going to do 20% less damage, but I do generally go for the stun, because if an enemy's stunned, they're doing nothing, right? They're doing no damage, so we definitely like that. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to transition over to a new area a little bit, change the environment up a little bit, and go for some new enemies as well. And we're going to have to obviously get some spirit here so we can use Pulverize, because all of these abilities are not generators of spirits, they're spenders. So here we go, we're going to use Pulverize, boom. And that's a massive amount of additional damage, and you'll see this is the normal amount of damage. See how much less damage it is? It's in the hundreds, it's like 130, while it did around 700 when I first did it, because it's taking my health into account to overpower. So I have 10 stacks of it. It's going to overpower again with this. Take a look at this. Massive amounts of additional damage, and that's every 10 seconds while you remain healthy. Again, that's over 80% of your health. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the next. Shred. This is a good one too. Shapeshift into a werewolf and perform a trio of combo attacks. 25% damage, 35% damage, then a large finisher, 60% damage. Shred gains 30% attack speed and heals for 2% of your maximum life if an enemy is struck. Shred's third combo attack is larger and applies a poison. Shred's second and third attack also perform a dash. In addition, Shred's critical strike damage is increased by 20%. Let's go with the poison for now. I'll probably show both, but one thing I did want to show you guys is it does transition from bear form into wolf, and you can do that. You can do bear attacks and wolf attacks, and you can combo between them, and there's actually... There are abilities that actually help you benefit from constantly swapping between forms. So there's the 3-hit combo. Pretty good, and it leaves a poison at the end. You saw him, he's ticking for poison damage, and we're going to change this over to the increased crit damage and the dash. So we're going to go ahead and gain ourselves some spirit here, and we're going to dash across like... And as you can see, you definitely have a lot of mobility with it when you use that that other modifier. You can cross a lot of ground with... So it's pretty nice ability. Those are one of the two abilities I usually go for because I'm playing. If you know me, I'm a big melee dude. I'm not much for a caster. I definitely enjoy my melee. But here is a caster ability, 113% damage. But I'm gonna put a point in there because we already have 1 point from a skill I have. So we're gonna have to put a point in there in order to get the modifier. After landslide damages enemies 4 times, the next hit will immobilize for 3.18 seconds. When you strike an immobilized or stunned enemy with landslide, an additional pillar of earth is formed. That could be big damage. When you immobilize or stun an enemy, you gain a terror mote. Each enemy hit by landslide consumes a terror mote, causing a guaranteed critical strike with 40% critical strike damage. Bosses always have a 10% chance to grant a terror mote. That's pretty cool. But we're going to go with the immobilize here. Immobilizer stun, an additional pillar is formed. So we're going to go ahead and gain some spirit. And here we go. Boom. So if you look down at the bottom, you'll see I have 3 stacks of the modifier there. That's this one. When you damage enemies 4 times, the next hit will immobilize enemies. And then, of course, when they're immobilized, we'll summon an extra pillar. So it combos well together off its own, the own ability. You don't really need to combo it with anything else. But let's go ahead and try that one more time. Immobilized, an additional pillar was formed, and it does some pretty decent damage. Not bad at all. And you could specialize in Earth-specific magic on the Druid, Earth, or you can go with the Storm. So if you want to pick like all Earth abilities, you could definitely do that, and there are benefits from doing that later on. I'll show you. We do need to spend some points here in order to get to the next section. So we're going to get to our defensive skill section. Earthen Bulwark. Rocks surround you for 3 seconds, granting you a barrier that absorbs 45% of your life. I love this ability in Hardcore. Gotta stay alive, right? Hardcore. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. I'm going to show you the modifiers. Earthen Bulwark makes you unstoppable. This is huge. It's huge. Unstoppable makes characters... It removes all control impairing effects, and it prevents them. I have seen so many people die to crowd controls in Hardcore, lose their characters, so this is a must. And one of the awesome benefits here is if you are crowd controlled, you can use Earthen Bulwark to get out of CCs. So you're already stunned, you use it, you pop it, you get your barrier, and it pops you out of that stun, and it makes you immune to other crowd controls for the duration. So that's it lasts for 3 seconds, which is not bad. Rock Shrapnel flies outward when Earthen Bulwark is destroyed or expires, dealing 135 damage to surrounding enemies. The damage is increased by barrier bonuses. Casting Earthen Bulwark grants 18% base life as Fortify, another thing to help you with survivability. But we're going to go with the cool one just to show it off, the one that breaks. In Hardcore, I generally go with the Fortify, though. Okay. We got some ghouls here, so we're going to show what this looks like. I probably won't be able to show the stun, but I'll show the barrier. As you see, I have barrier on the health now. Barrier is going down rather than my life, and then it did damage when it exploded. And we're going to slap them with the pulverize just to finish them off. Definitely a very good ability to help keep you alive. Highly recommend taking this one if you're playing Hardcore. Get you out of that stun. Helps keep you from losing your character, and we all know that is always a bummer when you lose your Hardcore. Cyclone Armor. Powerful winds surround you, granting 20% non-physical damage reduction. And you can activate it. You can use it. So that means that's always active, that 20% non-physical damage. So any element, anything that's not physical, you take 20% less damage. Pretty good. Active. When you use it, it actively, they rapidly expand, the winds rapidly expand, knocking back enemies, dealing 15% damage. So it's pretty nice to keep enemies off you if you're playing a caster and they close the gap. You can knock them back. Enemies who are knocked back by Cyclone Armor are slowed by 70% for 1.58 seconds. Enemies knocked back by Cyclone Armor are vulnerable for 3 seconds, which means they take 20% more damage. Every 10 seconds, Cyclone Armor intensifies, causing incoming damage to grant you 30% damage reduction for 2 seconds. Pretty good. Pretty good for surviving. This one is the knockback, enemies become vulnerable. So we can't really show much other than the active ability, so I'm taking a little bit less damage from these enemies' attacks. I'm going to go ahead and use the active, and it's going to knock them back and slow them. These enemies are pretty tough. These Revenants. Little tip here, I know that's not the topic of the video. Be careful with their thrust attack. They do like this. It's a long animation thrust, and if they hit you with that, they do a nasty amount of damage. Got to be careful with that. These guys definitely hurt, and I am not spec'ing to all of my stuff, which is making this fight quite... That thrust attack right there that he just did. That hits you, you're gonna have a bad time. Oof, I think I just dodged. Alright, so we got to get rid of these guys so we can get to our next ability, because this video is already going to be long. Watch the thrust. We'll finish him off. Alright. Ooh, a legendary, I think, just dropped. There you go. You got to see a legendary ring. We're going to move on to the next ability while we deal with these enemies. That is going to be Blood Howl. Shapeshift into Werewolf. Howl, healing you for 20% of your health. So we'll let them do some damage to me. Kills reduce the cooldown. Healing you for 20% of your maximum life. Every time you kill it, reduce the cooldown by 1 second. And the cooldown's about 15 seconds, so it's not bad if you're attacking a pack of enemies. Bloodhowl also increases your attack speed by 15% for 4 seconds, or it generates 20 spirit. I generally like the attack speed. We're going to go use that right now. We're going to see I heal for 20% health, and then this attack would be a little bit faster because of the modifier. So not bad at all. Definitely like that ability a lot. It's a good way to keep yourself healed and keep yourself healthy, which the healthy means you're over 80%, which helps us use this pulverize, right? So we'll use that again. It's going to put me into a healthy state, and now that's going to start ticking up, so the pulverize damage will go up as well. So it helps you kind of like between fights, not waste potion charges, keep yourself healthy. So your next overpower will do a ton of... Well, your next pulverize will overpower for additional damage. Debilitating Roar. Shapeshift into a werebear. Bellow a mighty roar, reducing the nearby enemies' damage dealt by 50% for 4 seconds. That's pretty good. It can help some teammates out too. Debilitating Roar also fortifies you for 22% of your base life. Debilitating Roar also heals you for 4% of your maximum life each second for its duration. Lasts for 4 seconds. What is that? What is that, 16%? I'd say 4 by 4? Yeah, 4 times 4. Debilitating Roar also slows enemies at 40% for its duration. We'll keep it in its heal state so we can take some damage. Use Debilitating Roar. Show how they're going to do reduced damage and have it heal me a little bit. So they're hitting me. We're going to go ahead and roar. And it's going to heal me a bit. We have someone wandering by, helping me out here. And doing some damage. Oops, I did not put the point in the heal, so I missed out on that heal. I was like, what-oh, that didn't heal me. So now it's going to heal me. We'll do it one more time just to show off that little heal. There you go. We got some enemies here. Could do some damage. And we'll use debilitating... Oh, I have a lot of regen if enemies are near me from my equipment. So unfortunately, it is healing me a lot. But we'll go ahead and use Debilitating Roar. Hit enemies. Heal me a bit. Do some good AoE damage. Alright, moving on to the next ability. Because this video is going to be long. We are going to need a ability. One ability. We're going to need one so we can get to the next thing. We're going to go with the Bulwark. Help keep my hardcore character from dying. That would be great. To lose my hardcore character during this video. That would be fantastic. Alright, this is the cool ones here. For you guys that like summons, like pets. Wolves. We're going to go ahead, and we already had a point in there. Summon 2 wolf companions that bite enemies for 8% damage. Direct your wolves, if you activate it, direct your wolves to focus on an enemy, leaping to them and striking for 35% damage. We're going to put a point in there so we can get the modifiers. Wolves deal 20% increased damage to immobilized, stunned, slowed, or poisoned enemies. So a reason to keep your enemies poisoned, alright? When you critically strike, your wolves gain 20% attack speed for 3 seconds. So it's when the player critically strikes, it buffs the wolves. Lucky hit, your wolves' attacks have a 10% chance to fortify you for 5% base life. And if you see something that says lucky hit, that will be modified by stuff that has like increased lucky hit chance. You'll get that on your gear, so that means if you get like 50% increased lucky hit chance on your gear, that'll be a 15% chance rather than a 10%. So it's a good way to modify, but we'll go with the crit strike. Probably won't see it play out, but that's okay. And we're going to go ahead and drag this ability to the bar, right? The wolves, and it's going to summon the wolves. Pretty cool. Let's go have them fight some enemies. There we go. They don't do too much damage. You can put additional points in it. And that was the active to make them leap. We'll show that one more time. If you want to be a full like pet class, Nekrage definitely the one to go, at least right now. Hopefully they do something to buff druids. But they are definitely a little bit on the weaker side right now. I just used the leap and it like barely did anything. As you can see, they're definitely not too impressive in my opinion, but they're cool. They're cool to have, but I would definitely, you know, I'd like to see some love thrown to the druid. All right, we're going to use that active again. Leap, boom. That did a little bit of damage. Not too bad. We're going to pull the points out of here. We'll leave the 1 point in there because I can't pull it out. Vine Creeper. This is pretty cool. A Vine Creeper periodically emerges from the ground every 7 seconds and applies 36% poison damage over 6 seconds to an enemy in the area. If you activate it, Vines strangle all surrounding enemies, immobilizing them for 30% damage. We've got to put 1 point in there. Vine Creeper's immobilization duration is increased by 1 second, so now it's instead of activating it for immobilize for 2.2 seconds, you'll see now it's 3.18, sorry. It went up a little bit because I have some gear that modifies that. Vine Creeper's active poisoning duration is increased by 3 seconds, or your critical strike chance is increased by 20% against enemies strangled by Vine Creeper. So we're going to go ahead and drag that on the bar. We'll get rid of Debilitating Roar, and we'll put the Vine Creeper there. And if you pay close attention, you should see him. There we go. You'll see him emerge every so often. And he'll do some poison damage there. He got that guy just there. And we're going to go ahead and activate him. And you see it mobilized, and it does some decent poison damage. Not too bad. And we'll take these guys out. See, I just marked this guy for the wolves to leap at him, and they didn't even do it. So there's a little bit of a bug with it right now. Hopefully they resolve that as well. Because sometimes they're a little they haven't been trained well. They're a little stuck up. They don't want to listen to me. There we go. Went ahead and left there. So we're going to remove the Vine Creeper, and we're going to go with the Ravens. Passive. 1 ravens fly above you and periodically attack your enemies for 13% damage every 5 seconds. The target area is swarmed if you activate it with Ravens, dealing 85% damage over 6 seconds. We're going to put an additional point in there so we can get to our modifiers. You have 5% increased critical strike chance for 6 seconds against enemies hit by Ravens. Enemies inside the swarm of Ravens, when it's activated, become vulnerable for 3 seconds, or 2 additional Ravens periodically attack enemies, so we're going to go for that. So we have 3 Ravens, and you can see it definitely scales up if you're really into this. It'll scale up if you like the passive damage from the Ravens. We'll go ahead and put that on our bar, but as you see, you don't see any Ravens, right? There's no Ravens flying around, but watch. As you get close, you'll see a Raven they fly out and come out of nowhere, and they just peck an enemy. They do a little bit of damage. It's just passive damage. And we're going to go ahead and activate it. And it does an area of effect. It kind of swarm. It does damage against them. Again, certainly not anything impressive. Druid, as you'll see, definitely on the weaker side, right? We'll go ahead and we'll buff our wolves up so we can get to our next section of our Wrath skills. Hurricane. Form a hurricane around you that deals 97% damage to surrounding enemies over 8 seconds. Enemies who are damaged by hurricane are slowed by 25% for 2.12 seconds. Hurricane has a 15% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds, or enemies affected by hurricane deal 20% less damage. Let's go with the less damage, right? Can't go wrong with that. Helps us stay alive. So we're going to go ahead and put hurricane on our bar, and we're going to go ahead and use it now. Here we go. And it does a hurricane around you. Does some damage. Makes them do less damage. Not too bad. You can obviously, stay in your shapeshift form. It's still active as you're using it. It swarms around you, reducing damage that enemies do. It's alright. It's okay. Again, nothing impressive, which seems to be the theme of the Druid. Druid, nothing impressive. I don't know. Druid hating, Blizzard hating on the Druid a little bit. Boulder. Unearth a large rolling boulder that knocks back and crushes enemies, dealing 33% damage for each hit. We're going to put a point in there so we get the modifiers. When boulders reach the end of its path, enemies hit are slowed by 30% for 3.18 seconds. If boulder overpowered, enemies are stunned for 4.25 seconds instead. Boulder's critical strike chance increased by 3% each time it deals damage. When you have any fortify, boulder has a 20% increased critical strike chance. We'll go ahead and grab that. And we'll go ahead and roll a boulder. That's pretty cool. Not a bad ability. Can't spam it though. It goes on cooldown. We'll go ahead and roll another one. I see some enemies. Where are you? There we go. Boulder! That's not bad. That's alright. Definitely throws enemies away. If you're not melee, you know, you're trying to keep enemies off of you. Obviously, you don't want to really use it as melee, because then you're chasing your enemies, you know? But if you're ranged, it's a good way to keep them off your back. You know, they're coming at you, you just push them away. Look at him run. Look at him go. He went that way first, and he came running back. Alright, we're going to remove boulder. And we are going to go for our... rabies. That's kind of cool. Shapeshift into a werewolf. Perform an infectious bite on the target. Deals 28% damage. And then it applies a 53% poison damage over 6 seconds. Infected enemies spread rabies to other surrounding targets. Poisoning damage also increases over the lifetime of the disease, dealing 30% bonus damage at max duration. Rabies deals its total poisoning damage in 4 seconds instead of 6. And then natural rabies spreads 100% faster. But we're going to go with the 4 seconds instead of 6, so we can show it at its maximum damage potential. We're going to head south here, transition into another zone, and we're going to see if we can get packs of enemies. Sometimes we find ghouls and such down here.
I need time to do that.
Kind of leaving the snow area, coming down to the lowlands. There we go. There's our ghouls. We're going to rabies, and you got to watch it jump. There we go. Poison jumping from enemy to enemy. Pretty cool. And we'll do it again. We'll get some more spirit. And we're waiting on rabies cooldown, and we just did rabies again. And watch as it starts to jump. You see it jumping from enemy to enemy. And then wham! Finish him off with that. Give him the rabies. Alright. Moving off of the rabies, we're going to go to trample. Shapeshift into a werebear, become unstoppable, and charge forward, dealing 25% damage and knocking back enemies. Enemies who are knocked back into terrain take an additional 45% damage and are stunned for 3.18 seconds. Not bad. And again, unstoppable, removes all crowd control effects. Huge. Trample deals 30% bonus damage. This bonus is reduced by 15% for each enemy hit after the first. Cast and Trample grants 20% base life as Fortify. Not bad. Cast and Trample grants 20 Spirit. We're going to go with the Fortify. Now let's go trample some enemies. Oh, ghouls, where are you at? Oh, we got skeletons instead. All right. Let's trample them right into the wall for the extra stun dam. We'll go ahead and slam them for some pretty nasty pulverized damage. We're going to wait a second again. And as you can see, like, you cross a lot of ground with it. It's good movement ability. Not bad at all. But it seems like the main portion of the Druid's damage is that pulverize. You'll see it's just crazy damage when it's set to overpower, because you stack your health, you stack your fortify, you do incredible damage. But trample's good. Trample's good to you know, get you out of some you know, like deadly attacks from bosses, keep you unstoppable so you don't get stunned. It's not bad. Not bad at all. We'll put some points in it just to get to the next section, which is our final section, and this is our ultimates. These are passives. We're not going to go over those. You can't even reach them right now, but these are our ultimates. These are active abilities. And I'm warning you right now, the ultimates for Druid are so lackluster. They're so poorly balanced, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad to see this. But we're going to go with Petrify first. In case all nearby enemies in stone, stunning them for 3.18 seconds, you deal 25% increased critical strike damage to enemies affected by Petrify. Against bosses, the critical strike damage was increased to 50% and its duration is increased to 6 seconds. Petrify's effects durations are increased by 1 second, so the stun comes to 4.25 seconds, and the duration goes to 7 seconds for the critical strike bonus against bosses. Killing an enemy affected by Petrify grants 25 spirit. We're going to get rid of our wolves, so there's no like confusing damage numbers and such. We're also going to get rid of these ravens. We're gonna go here and show what Petrified does. It's only one. Okay, there we go. We'll use it here. Big AoE, big stun. Pretty decent. Not bad at all. Decent. But it's an ultimate, and it's a 60-second cooldown. That's a little on the weak side to me for a 60-second cooldown. And if you look at some of the other classes' ultimates, it's just like... What were you thinking for the Druid? Why is it always kind of like, meh, for the Druid? And I'm going to show you. It follows that theme, that meh. Cataclysm. A massive storm follows you around for 8 seconds. Tornadoes knock back enemies, and lightning strikes wildly, deal 52% damage. We're going to grab that. Cataclysm's duration is increased by 2 seconds, so it lasts for 10 seconds. Sounds good, right? Lightning strikes from Cataclysm make enemies vulnerable. That sounds good. All right, cool. We're going to put that on our bar. Oh, it already is. It's on cooldown. 10 seconds. Let's go grab ourselves a group of enemies. Now, keep in mind, these ghouls, they're very weak. They have very little health. They don't have much, right? We're going to go ahead and use this ultimate. Here we go. And that's the end of the ultimate. Or... What the hell, Blizzard? What is that? What is that? Lacerate, it has to be better than the last one, right? Maybe. Shapeshifter werewolf become immune. You can't be damaged. And quickly dash 10 times between enemies in an area, dealing up to 400% damage. That is the biggest number we've ever seen, right? Look how much damage that is. Wow, that's going to destroy everything. Each time Lacerate deals a critical strike, heal for 3% maximum life. Lacerate's initial strike is guaranteed critical strike and deals 150% increased damage. Wow, that sounds incredible. It already does crazy damage, and now it's doing crazy additional damage, right? Lacerate. All right, guys, we're going to do the biggest damage number ability we have seen. It's going to be massive. It's going to obliterate these ghouls. They don't have much health. It's going to destroy them. Absolutely massacre them. Ready? It's coming up. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1. That was your ultimate. These are some of the lowest health enemies in the game. Didn't even kill all of them. That was your ultimate. And hopefully I can grab some bigger, higher health enemies here, not just ghouls. I really want to show off this ultimate and how bad it really is. It's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful when you can just do that. I don't know what it is with Blizzard and the Druids, but they are so bad right now. I'm pretty sure that's why they weren't in closed beta right off the bat. So hopefully we could find ourselves a bigger enemy here. We only have one more ability to show off, so I'm going to take a little bit of extra time here. I apologize. I know this video is a little long. Not as long as my Barbarian one, but a little bit long. This is like, we're in ghoul land over here. Everything's ghouls, 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 ghouls. So I'm hoping we could find something big. And talking a little bit more about this ultimate, that 400% damage is over the 10 times. So it only does 40% damage per hit. It's trash. It's garbage. And it's just so pathetic. I can't believe that Blizzard made this. I was thinking 400% damage, wow, per hit? No. Watch this, okay? We're going to hit this. So keep in mind, this guy's got about 60% health left. Let's use the ultimate. That's against one enemy. One enemy. But if there's multiple enemies, it will bounce between them. It does nearly nothing, goes on a long cooldown. The one thing that's nice that I can say about it is if you're very high crit build, crits heal you for 3% maximum health per hit. So you can heal you a lot, and it makes you invulnerable, makes you immune during it. So it can be used more defensively than really to do a whole ton of damage. And you might see during that last example on this guy, you might be like, oh, the damage isn't so bad. I'm going to show you something. Though. While we have a lot of enemies, okay, Revenants, they're higher health. They're a little more on the deadly side, obviously, than ghouls. We're going to get some enemies here. And we got some bats. We got 2 Revenants here. Yeah, help, please. We're going to get them all together, and we're going to use it now. Or that with a stun, you can use it much more often. It's just overall better. I don't understand why the abilities just feel so bland. Last one. Oh, I wanted to show you one other thing. Remember I said you could swap forms between wolves and bear and benefit from that quick swapping? When a shape-shifting skill transforms you into a different form, it deals 5% additional damage. So you can grab that, and you can put additional points in it, up to 15% additional damage. That means that you can go wolf, bear, wolf, bear. So you could be using, like, you could use the claw, and say, I'm going to put this on here.
I'm not ready yet.
And it's not up yet. But as I use claw, it's going to transform me into a werewolf, right? So it does some damage, and then I go into pulverize. That pulverize will do 15% additional damage if I had it on here. And that's not the end of it either. There's other modifiers here like heightened senses. Upon shapeshifting into a werewolf or werebear, gain 4% damage reduction against elites for 5 seconds. That goes up to 12%, 3 points. And or you can take fortifies you for 3% of your base life when you shapeshift. So you shapeshifting back and forth, you're getting a lot of fortify to build up. Pretty nice. And as pathetic as the ultimates are, you're almost better off taking one of the passives at the end. But Grisly Rage, let's get to the last one. Shapeshift into a dire werebear for 10 seconds, gaining 20% bonus damage and 20% damage reduction. Damage bonuses increase by 3% for each second while in this form. Kills extend the duration for 1 second, up to an additional 10 seconds. So you can get 20 seconds in there if you're getting a lot of kills. You are unstoppable while Grisly Rage is active. Can't be crowd controlled. Gain 8% base life as fortified per second while Grisly Rage is active. Now, this is the best one. This is the one that makes sense to take. This is the best ultimate in my opinion. I think everything else needs to be adjusted. It needs to be modified. And we're going to show off this ultimate. It's going to do additional damage, right? 20% additional damage. And it's going to give me a lot of damage reduction. And as I kill enemies, the duration will increase. You'll see the duration is starting to run out. As I kill a lot of enemies, it just jumped back up to get the full 10 seconds. You get this really cool, like, runic werebear model going on. So I take a lot less damage in this. I can't be stunned. I do more damage. That is certainly the one that feels like an ultimate. It feels right. It feels good. That's the one to take in my opinion. Everything else is meh. And that's the end of the Druid, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of talking. I know we're approaching the 40-minute mark. Thank you so much for watching this. I really do appreciate. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate your support. Throw me a like and a sub. Definitely, truly appreciate that. It means a lot to me, and it definitely keeps me going, keeps me motivated to do videos because I will lose that motivation without your support. So thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later!